In this video, I want to take a look at a game which I think is instructive because of how the psychology of the person you're playing and your own psychology affects the result of the game. And well, I analyzed one of the games previously, so I'll put a link in the description if you want to take a look at that game. So we started as a French defense, but here my opponent played a terrible move, bishop c4, which makes no sense because now the bishop is just biting on granite. But like I said in my previous video, my opponent takes about a second to make a move, so blunders are bound to happen. c5, knight f3, so I'm thinking we're going to transpose into a Sicilian. Here I played b6, which is a novelty, so not a very good move. The engine's like d5, which I don't really want to open up the position because, well, after takes, there is rook e1 check, and you can block it. Bishop e7 is probably the best move, and after that, Stockfish says that bishop f1 is the best move. So bishop e5 would be a more human move, more active than, say, dropping to b3. And well, here now d4, the idea is, well, you want to trade pawns and then you'll have this weakness to work with, and white can just attack the pawn. Bishop e3, again renewing the threat of taking, and now c4, and well, this position starts to get a little bit complicated because it's unbalanced, and after a6 I think you have to trade the bishop, so potentially white will have the bishop pair, but you have this backwards pawn, so it's an interesting dynamic. And here the engines prefer d4, and after trades you want to play bishop c5 here, but you can't because the g-pawn is hanging, so knight f6, which also attacks the pawn, so white defends the pawn a second time. Now you go bishop c5, and after queen d3, castles, queen g3, and after d5, bishop h6. Can't take the bishop because, well, that's checkmate. So knight h5, and apparently black is winning because, well, everything is hanging. The bishops are being attacked, the queen's being attacked, but it's actually not that simple from a practical point of view, especially when you're playing with a clock. So I'll let you analyze this position on your own if you want. It's actually pretty interesting. And another engine variation, again d5, which I just would not want to play this position just because, well, opening up the king when you still haven't castled, and you're not gonna be able to castle for a few moves because you have to get the bishop out. It's just not something I'm interested in. And here h6, which is a very aggressive move. The point is not to stop a white piece from landing on the square, g5, but really it's to go on the attack with g5, and this is just very sharp, and also probably good for white. And well, again, the engines prefer knight c3, which makes sense. You want to develop your pieces. In the opening, you don't want to be moving pawns, so bishop f4, bringing out the bishop as well, something that didn't really happen in the game. And here are the engines f6, which I would never even consider this move because it's potentially a very weakening move, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can lose pretty easily. I mean, it takes experience to know when a move like f6 is good, and this is one of those positions, but in general, it's just not good, so I wouldn't play it. And well, here you trade, but I don't know how safe this king is gonna be. Are you really gonna play king f7 at some point? Because after f4 and f5, then you're gonna trade the f pawn for the e pawn, and I don't know. I just think that long term it would be very difficult to play with the black pieces. And here my opponent just went crazy, like just taking the pawn with check. I guess, you know, it's almost like he almost plays like a computer would do when you're just like outplaying the computer, and then it just like makes this blunder like out of nowhere. It's like this reckless move, just take to try to open up the position a little bit, but it's just, I mean, you're giving up so much material and you have no development. You have two pieces out, and well, before you can sacrifice anything, you need to bring pretty much all your pieces into the game, which you haven't done. So, you know, this position is just perfectly fine for white. And here b5 again, it's just you're lashing out because I don't know, you don't know what to do, I guess. Queen e2, rook d8, attacking the pawn, defending the pawn, and attacking the queen. Now you have ideas like knight g6, hitting the rook and the queen, bishop d6. It's interesting how the engine can generate threats for both sides, even though black is up a piece. Attacking the pawn, defending it, and you trade. And this is an interesting position to play against an engine because, yes, you are up a piece for a pawn, but these two pawns are they're cramping the black pieces. White's pieces are all very active. This knight is just bad. This knight is not going to be able to defend the king in case white starts attacking on the king side. So after this, again, my opponent doesn't like to keep tension on the board, so he immediately takes on c5. And well, he does get the center, but he's down a piece, and this move d5 is just bad because what are you attacking with? after d5, you have 2 pawns, a knight, and arguably a queen attacking what exactly? I mean, you need to bring the pieces out before you can do anything like that. And let's look at the engine line. Rook e1, developing a piece, putting it on the same line as the king. Queen c7, bishop g5, again bringing another piece into the attack. Knight f6, e5, and here you have to be careful with black. You have to go knight d7. If you go knight d5, well, now the knight is trapped. And even in this position, even though you are gonna lose the knight, the engines still say that black is better. And well, knight e5 is annoying, but queen b5, my opponent played queen f3, which I thought was cute. We have this check. Better was a4, and well, queen c5 is just bad because of bishop a3, and if you go queen b3, you can go queen d3, and well, if the only good move for black is f5, then I think something went wrong, because you don't want to really open up the position. If you go f5, you can take here, or you can take here first. This king is looking very safe. This king is not looking very safe at all. And if you play a logical looking move like knight f6 so that you can castle, well, then you just lose your queen with knight d2. And well, 2 minor pieces for the queen. I don't know, against this particular opponent, maybe I could still win this game. So here I just took the pawn, and well, my opponent captured, and now knight d3, which is a blunder. You have to go knight g4, I believe, because now you have this fork. And here I thought rook e1 was better just from a practical point of view. Instead, queen e3, which objectively is the best move, but now I just take the knight, and here my opponent cursed, which I thought was pretty funny. And well, after this, there's like no way that I could lose this position, because without the queens, then it's just pretty simple. And here my opponent just, I don't even know what he was thinking. I guess he wasn't, because instead of taking the bishop, just rook c7. Bishop drops back, check. Here you can go rook c3, but he went all the way back, and it's like, okay. I thought my opponent would resign here, but he did not. So I just took and played this move, hoping that he would just take so I could give a check and he could resign. And he did reach for the rook, but he saw the trap before he touched the piece, so he played h3, and well, I did not bother to write the rest of the game. But this should be forced checkmate in 13 moves. So anyway, if you liked the video, well, obviously don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video.